Listen carefully. Most people destroy their own potential not because they're weak, but because their minds are uncontrolled. The impatient chase opportunities that never arrive, while the precise quietly create theirs. The emotional break under pressure, while the calm turn chaos into strategy. The unfocused drown in noise, while the sharp cut through life with silent authority. If you want power in a world built on manipulation, distraction, and weakness, then master the one weapon no one can steal from you, your mind. Because the person who controls their thoughts controls everything. Listen closely, warriors. There's a silent war happening around you, and most people don't even realize they've already lost. Today's world hasn't chained people physically. It has captured their minds. Everywhere you look, people wander through life with their attention shattered into tiny fragments, drifting from one distraction to the next as if their brains are being yanked by invisible ropes. They swipe, tap, click, scroll, and react without ever pausing to think. Their minds twitch for stimulation the way starving men crave food. 5 minutes of stillness feels like suffocation. And in this restless state, their strength dissolves quietly. You can see it in their faces, a haze in the eyes, a heaviness in their posture, a subtle confusion that never truly leaves. They're not living, they're merely responding. And a person who only reacts can never rise. That is where power dies. Your mind isn't weak because you lack discipline. It's weak because it's drowning in a storm of noise. Noise from people who don't matter. Noise from meaningless drama. Noise from screens designed to hijack your attention every few seconds. You're not exhausted, you're overloaded. You're not unmotivated, you're blurred. Your potential isn't lost. It's buried under mental clutter that never gives you a moment to breathe. Centuries ago, Machiavelli saw this truth long before smartphones, notifications, and digital chaos existed. He understood that the man who can think with clarity becomes dangerous, not because of physical strength, not because of wealth, but because his perception cuts deeper than the rest. He wrote that the wise act immediately while fools hesitate until it's too late. And this, at its core, separates power from weakness, clarity. The ability to see through confusion, to ignore illusions, to understand what actually matters. Imagine your mind as a blade. A dull blade buckles when pressure appears. A sharp one slices through anything with quiet precision. Every distraction you indulge makes that blade blunt, bent, harmless. Every moment of true focus sharpens it again. The real question is, how sharp are you willing to become? Today you won't just learn to think better, you'll learn to think in a way that forces your mind to obey you. You'll understand how to use dark psychological principles to silence inner chaos, remove mental weakness, and rise above the loud world that tries to control you. You'll begin to see what Machiavelli saw, that real power begins in stillness, in controlled thought, in the private territory inside your head where no one else is allowed. By the end of this transformation, you won't merely practice focus, you'll embody it. Calm, cold, deliberate. Because when you dominate your mind, no force on earth can manipulate you. Confusion becomes transparent. Lies become obvious. Moves of others become predictable. You become a strategist in a society full of impulsive reactors. Before we continue, write this in the comments. My mind is my weapon. Let's begin. 1. The true nature of focus. Focus is not motivation. It is self-command. The average person drifts from impulse to impulse like a leaf carried by the wind. They scroll without thinking, chase stimulation without purpose, and allow anything to enter their attention. Their thoughts shatter easily. Their energy leaks constantly. Their awareness is tossed around by trends, emotions, and opinions. But a trained mind does not move unless it chooses to. It acts with intention, not panic. Every second of concentrated focus is a moment where you declare internal mastery over mental chaos. The rule is simple. The more precise the focus, the more formidable the mind. Machiavelli once wrote that a leader must know how to command. The same law governs your thoughts. A distracted mind becomes a servant. A focused mind becomes a ruler, quiet, steady, unshakable. Distraction doesn't destroy people instantly. It dissolves them slowly, thought by thought, day by day, until they can no longer think deeply or clearly. Most people fill their schedules thinking they're being productive, but busyness is not effectiveness. Constant motion is not progress. They carry half-formed ideas, unfinished tasks, and scattered attention. Meanwhile, strength grows in stillness, in the ability to direct all mental force toward one clear purpose while the rest of the world drowns in noise. Focus is not about doing more. It's about cutting what doesn't matter so you can dominate what does. Every wandering thought drains power. Every intentional thought builds it. People who understand focus don't waste mental energy on gossip, on fleeting emotions, on opinions that carry no weight. They operate from silence, strategic silence. And that silence becomes intimidating because true power rarely announces itself. When others panic, they stay composed. When others speak endlessly, they observe. When others break under pressure, they remain still. This stillness is not weakness, it is intelligence in its purest form. Machiavelli noted that people are deceived by appearances. Many see but few understand. A person who moves with quiet decisiveness never needs to prove their strength. It radiates automatically. Focused individuals command respect without demanding it. Their calmness speaks louder than 1,000 words. True focus is created not by adding more information but by removing mental clutter. The fewer distractions you allow into your inner world, the sharper you become. Silence is uncomfortable at first because it reveals the chaos the noise once hid. But clarity lives in that discomfort. And with true clarity comes precision, discipline, and control. Most minds function like open doors, anything enters freely. But the mind that learns to shut out nonsense becomes unbreakable. Focus changes the way you see the world. Deep concentration sharpens decision-making. Emotional storms lose their grip. Pressure becomes irrelevant because your attention shifts only when you decide. That is the mark of mental strength, controlled awareness. This level of presence is rare and magnetic. People sense it. They respect it even when they can't explain why. In a society obsessed with reaction, disciplined calmness looks like authority. Machiavelli understood that clarity creates influence. The mind that knows exactly what it wants does not compete, it directs. Focused individuals shape their environment, guide others, and earn silent respect. Their control is invisible, not spoken, but its impact is undeniable. A sharp mind is not loud, but its presence is felt everywhere. Write this in the comments. Calm is control. 2. Subtractive thinking, the power of removing before adding. Most people believe that wisdom comes from accumulating more information, more books, more courses, more content. They think knowledge grows by stacking layers endlessly, but this only suffocates the mind. True clarity arises not from gathering more, but from removing what is useless. A wise thinker subtracts. They cut away the unnecessary until only truth remains. Machiavelli said the wise act immediately while fools delay until circumstances crush them. The average mind keeps piling on ideas, opinions, trends, gossip, distractions, and emotional baggage until its strength collapses under its own weight. But the sharp mind eliminates first false beliefs, irrelevant influences, mental clutter, until only the essential survives. Confusion is often self-created. People invite noise into their minds and then wonder why they feel lost. They absorb opinions disguised as wisdom, drama disguised as importance, and distractions disguised as urgency. Yet each one drains mental energy. Every distraction tolerated is a small surrender. Subtractive thinking becomes a weapon. Cut before you build, clear before you create, remove before you add. Power grows not by expansion but by purification. The fewer illusions you carry, the stronger your perception becomes. The mind resists emptiness because silence feels threatening. Yet that very silence is where genuine insight awakens. Think of your mind as a finely crafted instrument that has been coated with years of dust. Every piece of mental noise, every distraction, every emotional residue dulls its sharpness. The only path toward restoring its edge is through removal, not addition. This is why strong thinkers isolate themselves. Not to escape the world, but to cleanse themselves from it. Solitude is not abandonment. It is purification. In quiet spaces, illusions evaporate. When the noise dies, only raw, unfiltered thought remains. A mind stripped to its pure core. Subtractive thinking is not gentle. It is a ruthless art. It slices through ego, sentimental attachment, and false narratives. It interrogates every assumption without mercy until truth reveals itself. Most people never attempt this because it forces them to face the mental chaos they have allowed to build inside themselves. But Machiavelli understood that clarity does not come from comfort. It comes from observing reality without emotion. He recognized that people bury truth under layers of self-created distortion. The removal process begins with acknowledgement. Recognizing useless conversations that drain energy, emotional involvements that cloud judgment, and comparisons that poison focus. Each of these must be identified and cut away. This type of inner discipline is rare because it takes courage to walk away from the noise everyone else worships. The world glorifies accumulation because it creates the illusion of productivity. But the mind sharpens not when more is added, but when excess is stripped away. Subtractive thinking is like wiping fog off a mirror. Once the haze clears, everything becomes unmistakably visible. When unnecessary mental weight is removed, thinking becomes swift, clean, and deadly accurate. Decisions are no longer clouded by confusion. Time stops being wasted on trivial details. People who master this style of thinking appear enigmatic to others. They speak with purpose, never too much, never too little. Their actions are deliberate and selective, unlike the frantic movement of those who chase everything. Their restraint is often misinterpreted as coldness, when in truth it is clarity. Machiavelli taught that control is often found in what one chooses not to do. Knowing when to remain silent, when to withhold action, and when to simply watch. He wrote that conflict cannot be avoided. It can only be delayed to someone else's advantage. In terms of thought, this means inner chaos cannot be escaped by ignoring it. It must be confronted and dissolved. When the mind is cleared of clutter, the external world loses its ability to destabilize you. Subtractive thinking transforms intelligence into precision. The fewer distractions allowed to enter, the more razor-sharp your perception becomes. It is a commitment to simplicity, not emptiness. Simplicity that is dense with awareness and purpose. Those who practice this mindset glide through life with quiet efficiency. They remain unaffected by noise and aligned with their purpose. Nothing can confuse a mind trained to let go of what weakens it. Write this in the comments. Less is clarity. Now we enter the next layer. Control your mind, control your life. All external power stems from internal command. A person who cannot discipline their thoughts is enslaved by emotions, impulses, and circumstances. Many believe they can maintain equilibrium between comfort and ambition, but comfort erodes discipline. Real strength is born from the ability to govern thought even when emotions demand chaos. Machiavelli famously said that the intelligence of a leader can be measured by the quality of the men around him. Translate this inward. The men around your mind are your thoughts. If they are weak, chaotic, fearful, or undisciplined, then the ruler, you, is also weak. Mental control is the foundation upon which all personal authority is built. Without it, every achievement becomes fragile. The modern world constantly fragments the mind through fear, shallow entertainment, digital overstimulation, and emotional manipulation. Fear pushes people into irrational decisions. Anger blinds judgment. Anxiety steals presence. People confuse emotional reaction with awareness. They think they are thinking, but they are merely responding. The one who learns to observe thoughts instead of drowning in them gains an advantage almost supernatural in nature. By creating a gap between emotion and action, you step into the realm of mastery. Emotions will still appear, but they no longer have the power to move you like a puppet. Real authority lies in the ability to pause. In that pause, clarity whispers truths louder than any impulse. A mind that obeys emotion becomes a servant. A mind that commands emotion becomes a ruler. Machiavelli warned that chaos disguises itself as opportunity. He wrote that anyone who seeks constant success must evolve with the times. A controlled mind adapts without surrendering its core. Under pressure, it adjusts, not collapses. In challenge, it recalculates, not reacts blindly. Every emotion becomes information, not instability. Most people let their feelings dictate their actions, then regret the consequences. Those who practice control act from intention, not impulse. Their calm behavior under stress appears natural, but it is the product of repeated discipline. The ability to remain centered while the world trembles is the signature of true inner authority. Mastering the mind means mastering three pillars: attention, emotion, and time. Attention determines what you allow into your awareness. Emotion shapes how you interpret events. Time determines when and how you act. Lose control over any of these and weakness follows. This is why powerful individuals rarely explode in anger or reveal emotional instability. They conserve energy by acting deliberately. The mind cannot be conquered through desire alone. It requires structure. Rituals and habits form that structure. Consistent self-observation creates predictability, and predictability creates strength. Over time, the mind begins to obey because discipline has shaped it into obedience. With mental order comes heightened perception. When thoughts stop running wild, awareness expands. Patterns in human behavior become obvious. Manipulation becomes transparent. Emotional traps lose their effect. Those who govern their internal world naturally influence the external one. Their authority grows in silence. The more invisible the control, the more powerful it becomes. Machiavelli understood that visible emotion invites exploitation. Composure creates mystery, and mystery creates influence. People fear what they cannot interpret. A disciplined mind becomes unreadable. Controlling your mind is not emotional coldness. It is refinement. It turns disorder into clarity and instinct into strategy. Anyone who learns to direct their thoughts begins to direct their future. Every empire, every revolution, every transformation begins in the stillness of an organized mind. Write this affirmation: control creates power. Finally, precision thinking. This is the difference between mere movement and meaningful impact. Most people scatter their energy like broken glass, chasing dozens of goals and achieving nothing substantial. A precise thinker chooses one target and channels all mental force into it until the outcome bends. Machiavelli wrote that action followed by regret is better than an action followed by self-punishment. Precision is not hesitation. It is calculated execution. Effective thinkers know that one perfectly timed decision outperforms 100 impulsive efforts. The strength of thought lies not in speed but in accuracy. A mind lacking precision is like a blade with no edge, full of potential yet unable to cut through challenges. Precision begins with observation. It is the ability to see the pattern hidden beneath disorder, to notice what others overlook, and to connect dots before they form a picture. Untrained minds rely on luck. Sharp minds create outcomes. Machiavellian psychology teaches that true power comes from understanding motives, anticipating behavior, and respecting timing. With that knowledge, force becomes unnecessary. Influence happens quietly. The essence of precision is economy, saying less, moving less, deciding less, but choosing each action with surgical focus. Average thinkers love activity. Exceptional thinkers love results. Precision thinkers operate like surgeons. One clean incision, no wasted movement. This discipline requires patience because acting too early or too late destroys advantage. The impatient chase possibilities that may never come, while the disciplined mind quietly manufactures its own advantages. Machiavelli observed that the ruler who endures is the one who bends with shifting circumstances yet never abandons his central aim. Thought follows the same architecture. A refined thinker absorbs new information like a strategist studying terrain, but never allows novelty to dilute his direction. To adjust while remaining anchored is the dividing line between mastery and mental disorder. Precision of thought demands a certain distance from emotional turbulence. When feelings become tangled in thinking, vision blurs and decisions grow erratic. The mind that stays composed, removed from the rush of excitement or the sting of fear, sees what others overlook. This separation is not coldness but tactical clarity. It turns unpredictability into something manageable, even advantageous. Most people misinterpret silence as uncertainty, unaware that silence is often the mental equivalent of sharpening a blade. It is the gathering of facts before a decisive strike. A precise mind does not speak until understanding is complete. It does not act until the consequences are measured. It does not commit until the path ahead is mapped. To the untrained eye, this restraint resembles hesitation, but in truth it is the calculation that makes the eventual move impossible to counter. When precision finally expresses itself, the effect is immediate and undeniable. Every blunder witnessed in others becomes a charted lesson for the meticulous thinker. Mistakes are dissected, not feared. Each miscalculation from the world becomes a manual for future triumphs. Observation becomes a tool sharper than steel. Machiavelli famously noted that the wise man performs immediately what the fool delays endlessly. Precision is the embodiment of that wisdom, clear, succinct, and action without noise. While the world drowns in choices, the precise mind sees only the essential target. Such precision builds a quiet form of authority that needs no announcement. People instinctively trust the one who moves deliberately, who acts without panic, whose presence radiates stability. That calmness creates an invisible force, making others adjust their behavior without a single word. Nothing commands more attention than a mind that acts only with purpose, never out of impulse, and never twice in the same place. Precise thinking makes speech scarce but weighty. It turns actions into signatures, few but final. Such a mind cannot be manipulated because it sees meaning beneath gestures, motives beneath words, and patterns beneath chaos. In a society addicted to noise, precision becomes the ultimate form of intelligence. Not loud, not emotional, but exact. Drop this truth in the comments. Precision is power. Now, emotional immunity, the ability to remain unshaken, is the hidden armor of mentally dominant individuals. Most people crumble beneath the pressure of their own emotions, allowing every discouraging word or unexpected rejection to direct their mood. They become predictable, easily triggered, vulnerable to even the smallest provocation. When emotion takes the throne, judgment flees. Machiavelli observed that the deceiver will always find those willing to be deceived. Those who react emotionally are the easiest to mislead because they answer impulses instead of insight. Emotional immunity does not demand the absence of emotion, it requires the mastery of it. It is burning on the inside while remaining unbroken on the outside. It is choosing silence when provoked, stability when challenged, and logic when doubt tries to choke reason. A person without emotional discipline is like a doorless fortress. Every passing storm has access. The disciplined mind constructs invisible boundaries, not to suffocate emotion but to guide it. Anger, envy, fear, doubt. None of these are enemies. They are signals pointing toward internal cracks that require reinforcement. Emotional immunity begins with awareness. To acknowledge emotion without surrendering to it is the beginning of self-mastery. This awareness turns reaction into comprehension. The one who feels anger but refuses to lash out understands the mechanics of control. The one who senses fear but moves strategically learns the structure of courage. Each moment where emotion rises but self-command holds strengthens inner stability. Machiavelli advised rulers to appear compassionate but process decisions with clear rationality beneath the surface. His writings imply not dishonesty but adaptability, the understanding that sentiment must not dictate strategy. Those who remain collected while the world loses balance become silently powerful. When someone throws emotional fire, the calm individual becomes a reflective mirror, forcing the aggressor to confront his own instability. This instantly shifts control. Emotional immunity means absorbing chaos without echoing it. Manipulation collapses when the target refuses to react. Life continuously tests emotional discipline through betrayal, conflict, insult, and disappointment. These moments are psychological traps designed to disrupt focus. But the immune mind examines them like evidence rather than wounds. This transforms suffering into foresight. Emotional control is not cold detachment. It is clarity protected by calmness. As immunity grows, external turmoil loses its influence. People wonder how composure remains intact during rising tension, But this calmness is engineered through repeated restraint. Each silent choice becomes a stone in the fortress of self-control. The emotionally immune thinker perceives truths others drown beneath feelings. When people scream, he listens. When they panic, he watches. This gives him access to motives hidden beneath emotion. His detachment is not apathy, it is precision. He knows energy wasted on reaction is energy stolen from progress. Machiavelli would describe this as invisible command, the appearance of emotional neutrality that quietly dictates outcomes. Emotional immunity turns disorder into opportunity. It reshapes pain into discipline. It trains the mind to remain centered regardless of circumstance. This stability creates mystery, and mystery always generates respect. Those who cannot be rattled become untouchable. The world bends for those who refuse to bend with it. Comment this affirmation: calm never loses. Sharpness, too, is a language understood universally, even without speech. In a world bursting with distraction and arrogance, a person who moves with intention and restraint becomes impossible to overlook. Respect is often confused with popularity, yet real respect arises from an aura of internal structure, the silent certainty that radiates from someone anchored in discipline. Machiavelli remarked that being feared is more reliable than being loved, not through brutality, but through undeniable presence. In modern terms, this fear is the subtle discomfort others feel around a person who cannot be pressured, persuaded, or emotionally manipulated. Sharpness is power without force. It communicates through posture, timing, and minimal yet meaningful action. The sharp mind never chases validation. It establishes its own standard, compelling others to rise to it or fall away. Every gesture is intentional. Every expression carries calculation. Every silence is deliberate. The world respects what it cannot easily read. When emotions remain hidden and thoughts remain controlled, people approach with caution. This caution becomes psychological dominance. The sharper the mind, the more magnetic the presence becomes, not through charm but through mastery over the self. Machiavelli explained that everyone sees appearances but few understand inner reality. The sharp individual utilizes this truth precisely, revealing only what strengthens influence and concealing what strengthens vulnerability. Restraint becomes a power. Silence becomes a message. Calmness becomes a warning. Sharpness is the art of striking at the exact moment when impact is maximum. This is why sharp individuals often command respect without demanding it. Their boundary, posture, and discipline speak for them. Comment this truth: respect follows clarity. Now, learning from mistakes is the foundation of any mind seeking strength. Errors are not evidence of failure but signals from reality guiding growth. Every misstep, every misjudgment, every regret is a hidden lesson wrapped in discomfort. The weak avoid examining their mistakes because they equate discomfort with punishment. The strong tear mistakes open because they recognize discomfort as education. Machiavelli wrote that the wise act swiftly where the foolish delay. The distinction lies in the courage to confront one's own miscalculations without hesitation. Mistakes expose blind spots and reveal where emotion or ego clouded logic. Those who study their own errors become more formidable than those who hide from them. Failure sharpens perception in ways comfort never can. Each poor decision becomes a blueprint for future armor. Every disappointment becomes a quiet teacher. Machiavelli believed fortune crushes those who are unprepared. Mistakes illuminate exactly where preparedness was lacking. Once understood, mistakes become a form of foresight, allowing one to anticipate danger before it arrives. To learn honestly from failure requires the death of ego. Many people prefer excuses because accountability requires reconstruction. But Machiavellian wisdom teaches that power grows only where self-deception dies. The individual who cannot admit mistakes becomes predictable. The one who embraces them becomes unstoppable. Self-correction is the highest form of intelligence. Those who evolve through introspection transform faster than those who rely solely on knowledge. They become resilient, not because they avoid failure, but because failure no longer frightens them. Mistakes lose power when turned into wisdom. Wisdom becomes immunity. Immunity becomes influence. Machiavelli recognized that enduring power begins with internal mastery. When a person understands their own downfall, no one can use it against them. And when thoughts stop reacting and start anticipating, the mind ascends beyond average capacity. Discipline becomes instinct. Calm becomes armor. Purpose becomes the compass. This is the mind Machiavelli understood, a mind that no longer survives chaos but directs it. If this message awakens something within you, honor that spark with action. You have taken the first step toward sharpening your mind into a weapon that cuts through confusion, hesitation, and manipulation. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. My mind is my greatest weapon.